I just need this to spool up for just a moment here. Takes about 10 seconds. Clock is counting. Everything looks good. Okay, the meeting is yours. Let me know if you need anything.
I'd like to open this regularly scheduled Zoom meeting of the Commerce Township Planning Commission. We'll start with the approval agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, that's George. And who seconded?
Harold will second.
Carol will second. Okay, Ken, you're going to call the roll. You want me to do that?
I can do that this evening.
That would be from the Commerce team.
I can take care of that, Larry.
Okay, go ahead.
Weber,
Aye.
Carol, Brian, Carol. Okay. Oh, sorry, you're muted. Rebeck.
Aye.
McKeever,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Kareem,
Aye.
Haber.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next part will be the approval of the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? I have none. Does anybody have any corrections to the minutes? Okay, if not, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes as written. Somebody?
To approve minutes as written.
Okay.
I'll second.
Deb?
Carol, Winkler,
Aye.
Kareem,
Aye.
Rebeck, Chelsea, Weber,
Aye.
McKeever,
Aye.
Haber.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, public discussion of matters that are not on the agenda. For the public that is with joining us today, if you have something you'd like to say other than what we're going to discuss today on our agenda, this is your turn to be heard. So anybody will signal Ken and he'll let you in.
Thank you, Mr. Haber.
Ken, can I jump in for one moment?
Sure.
I see an iPhone in the waiting room. I don't recognize that as being a participant in the meeting. So if they could be, I'm not sure how you do it, admit them, but without admitting them with video capability.
Unfortunately, we can't do that, Mr. Campbell.
Okay.
So unless someone is expecting a Mirai iPhone, we don't know who they are. It could be not
So
good.
they would have to call in.
That's correct. They call on a regular phone, they get right in.
Okay.
All right, to the callers that,
Ken,
Sorry.
can you just go over the details on calling and raising hands?
yes, absolutely. So to the callers that are on the line, if you would like to speak, please press *9 on your keypad, and that will raise your hand and alert us that you would like to speak. Again, *9 is what you need to press to raise your virtual hand so that we can see that you would like to speak.
Now is the time for them to be heard. And if you don't see anybody, Ken, you'll let me know.
Seeing no hands currently, Mr. Haber.
Okay, then we'll proceed. There's no table items. There's no old business items. We do have scheduled public hearings today. So our first item will PCZ 20-10 84 lumber conditioning rezoning. This is going to be a public hearing. And I will explain to you right now that this public hearing will be opened when the public is ready to speak, and it will not be closed until the next meeting. So if anybody has any questions, you can ask it during the meeting. So Dave, it's in your court now. You can give us a rundown on what we're looking at here today.
Sure, I'll do that. And then when we get closer to the opening of the public hearing, I'll explain why we procedurally are going to leave it open until the October 5th meeting of the Planning Commission. So the petition that's before you this evening for a public hearing is a conditional rezoning of 3 pieces of property in the Homestead Industrial Parks. That's lots 24, 25, and 27 of the Homestead Industrial Park. Two of the lots are currently undeveloped, and the third lot has a building and parking and storage area on it, and that location is 4158 Pioneer Drive. That's lot 27 within the Homestead Industrial Park. The entirety of the Homestead Industrial Park is zoned TLM, Technology and Light Manufacturing, and it has been zoned that since 2015. Prior to 2015, from 2005 until 2015, it was zoned OR Office Research, and prior to that, it was zoned LI Light Industrial. The petitioner, which is Pierce Hardy Limited Partnership, doing business as 84 Lumber, would like to rezone those three properties from TLM to industrial, because the industrial zoning district is the only zoning district in our zoning ordinance that allows lumber yards as an allowable use, and only then as a special land use. So we've had several conversations with 84 Lumber. They've come before the Planning Commission on a conceptual level back in, I think it was in May, with their concept of rezoning the property from TLM to industrial so that they could develop it as a lumber yard. The idea would be that the existing building at 4158 Pioneer would be their retail store and office building with some retail inside that building. And then the undeveloped portion of that lot, and plus lots 24 and 25, would be the outdoor lumber storage yard. In having discussions with 84 Lumber, both inside Township Hall and with the Planning Commission, it was decided that to rezone the property through the township's conditional rezoning process would be a more acceptable form of rezoning, because the township would then be able to have some control over the use that would be allowed on that property, and specify the use and specify the conditions of that use. So the idea behind a conditional rezoning is the applicant says, please give us the zoning we need, and in doing so, we will contractually obligate ourselves to build this and only this. Only use the property for this use and only develop the property per a conditional rezoning plan that would be an exhibit to the conditional rezoning agreement that we would enter into with the township. So there's a conditional rezoning agreement, which is a contract between the developer and the township. And then there, as an exhibit to that, is a conditional rezoning plan, all of which you have in front of you with your packets here this evening. There's a draft conditional rezoning agreement and a number of exhibits, including the conditional rezoning plan. There's actually two conditional rezoning agreements in this case because there's two property owners in play. 84 Lumber has not yet closed on the property. 4158 Pioneer is owned by one ownership group, and lots 24 and 25 are owned by a separate ownership group. And only the owner of a property can petition for a rezoning, or in this case, a conditional rezoning. So you have two conditional rezoning agreements signed by the two respective property owners, but both on the behalf of 84 Lumber. And I presume that once 84 Lumber, if and when they get their conditional rezoning approved, then they would close on the property, and then they would be the property owners, and the conditional rezoning agreements would run with the land. The conditional rezoning, as I mentioned, includes utilizing the existing building and utilizing the existing outdoor storage area for a lumberyard. That would be phase one of what they propose to do. Phase two would be to take the existing undeveloped lots 24 and 25 and expand the lumberyard into those two lots. And when I say lumberyard, it would be a paved area with I think 6 outdoor storage sheds, 5 outdoor storage sheds. And within those sheds would be the lumber material that they don't want exposed to the weather. There would also be outdoor storage for building materials that would be safe to be exposed to the weather. But as you'll see in their conditional rezoning agreement, they have agreed to keep any outdoor storage in an orderly, stacked and nice orderly rows in specific areas on the site. Procedurally, what would need to happen with a conditional rezoning agreement is for it to come before the Planning Commission for a public hearing, which we're having this evening. The public hearing, notice of the public hearing was published in the Oakland Press, and a letter of the public hearing was sent to every real property owner within 300 feet of the subject properties. The Planning Commission would hold the public hearing, and then would, if they're so inclined, make a recommendation to the Township Board on the conditional rezoning. And then the Township Board would have the option to approve or not approve the conditional rezoning at a subsequent meeting. If and when the conditional rezoning is approved by the Township Board, the petitioner, 84 Lumber, would then come back to the Planning Commission with a site plan, which is a more fleshed out, more detailed version of the conditional rezoning plan that's attached to the conditional rezoning agreement. So this would not be the last time you would see 84 Lumber. However, as Mr. Haber mentioned, and as I mentioned, tonight's public hearing is going to be a little bit different in that we're not going to be able to open and close the public hearing tonight, nor is the Planning Commission going to be able to take any formal action this evening for a formal recommendation. The reason why is that our zoning ordinance requires that a sign be installed on the subject property, notifying anybody who passes by that a conditional rezoning is proposed from this zoning district to that zoning district, and it includes the planning department's phone number so that anyone can call the planning department with any questions. 84 Lumber didn't get their sign up. That sign is required to be up 15 days prior to this evening. 84 Lumber didn't get the sign up. They recognized that they weren't able to do that. So because we had already published the notice of the public hearing, we still want to hold the public hearing tonight, but because the sign still needs to be put up, we're going to have to extend the public hearing to the next Planning Commission meeting on October 5th, so that anybody who sees that sign, which now needs to be installed by September 20th, which is this Sunday, anybody who sees that sign would still have an opportunity to make public comment at the next Planning Commission meeting on October 5th. The good news, I guess, for 84 Lumber is that this doesn't have to cost them any time procedurally, because the earliest we would have been able to get this in front of the township board would have been the October 13th township board meeting, which we could still conceivably make if 84 Lumber is able to get back in front of the Planning Commission on October 5th, and if the Planning Commission is ready to make a formal recommendation at that meeting. Just quickly going through the what 84 Lumber proposes to do on the site and the conditions that they're offering as part of their conditional rezoning. They are proposing to do some upgrades to the facade of the existing building. They are proposing to screen in the entirety of the outdoor storage area with a combination of a decorative vinyl privacy fence along the portions of the outdoor storage area that are visible to the public, and those portions that are much less visible to the public, they would use a chain link fence, specifically along the west side and along the south side of the lumberyard. They're proposing to do some upgrades to what they would typically do to their outdoor storage shed with a stone veneer, and that stone veneer would match the same stone veneer that they're proposing on the existing building. And then that same stone veneer pattern would also carry over to the vinyl privacy fence, so that it all kind of ties together with the same stone look. In addition to the vinyl privacy fence, they propose to install a berm along Pioneer Drive, along the frontage of the lumberyard along Pioneer Drive. And atop that berm, they propose to plant a whole lot of evergreen trees, I think white spruces. So between the berm, the trees planted atop the berm, and then the privacy fence, the intent is that this would be a very well-screened lumberyard as a condition of the rezoning from TLM to industrial. So I'll take a stop there and see if the Planning Commission has any questions for me. I know Bethany Cipher and Jim Zanuck from 84 Lumber are on the meeting with us this evening, and they have a presentation that they would like to make. And as I mentioned, we do need to open, but we're not going to close the public hearing this evening. So I'm going to take a drink of coffee.
Okay, and who's going to speak for 84 Lumber?
I think Mr. Milburn has them all muted.
I'll bring them on now.
Can everybody see and hear me? Okay. Well, thanks, David, for that presentation. Appreciate all the work you've done up to this point. I know it's been a lot of work and presentation on your end just to get us to this point from where we started. So we really appreciate that. My name is Jim Zanuck. I'm an engineer for 84 Lumber. I am also the plan preparer that did this drawing and the rezoning plans. Bethany Cipher here is also, she is with 84. She is the head of our land development office, head of real estate. And we're here tonight to present our rezoning case. A little bit about 84 Lumber. We're a privately owned lumber yard. We were formed in 1956 by Joseph Hardy. We basically focus on building material to the heavy duty do-it-yourselfer and your contractors. So I would say probably 90% of our business is geared towards the contracting, general contracting business and the heavy duty do-it-yourselfer. So although we do have retail in our lumber yards, we have very small percentage. We'll say 5 to 10% would be retail, and at least 90% would be the contracting end. So tonight as David mentioned, we have a plan to show you. The site plan, which you should be seeing here, is shows all 3 lots, which are lot 24, 5, and 27. The lot 27 here to the eastern edge of the property, there are 2 access points currently that access the building. The building itself is a 42,000 square foot building that is currently a boat sales building that obviously we're basically going to just do some interior renovations to dress up the facades and have the majority of it as storage, but we also have about a 3,000 square foot interior showroom and some small office space. So the idea would be is we would be operating probably from 7 to 6, Monday through Friday, and 8 to 5 on Saturdays, and we'd be closed on Sundays.
Mr. Zonek, if you could, I think it might benefit the group if you enlarge that view just a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's do this. So, like I said, the main building is 42,000 square feet. And what we'll do is we'll dress up the facade, as David had mentioned, and I'll show some renderings there shortly to explain what we're trying to do to make it a better than it is now, we'll call it. We're going to utilize the 2 access points, which one is right here to the northeastern corner of lot 27, and this is the other access point. And this point here is where the trucks will enter the property, our semis and any kind of delivery trucks, box trucks that we would use for deliveries. As far as traffic goes, we'll try to talk about that for a little bit. Since we are a wholesale, we'll sell it sort of a business, not a retail, our anticipated traffic would probably be around 100 customers a day. We don't anticipate a lot of traffic. We wish we had more, but the operation, the way we work is we deal with the general contractors the majority of the time. We run slips for them. We have about, as far as semis go, we operate about 3 to 5 semis in the morning, probably between 6:30 and 7 a.m. And then the majority of the rest of the semis would be before 3:30 in the afternoon, and we might get another 3 to 5 at the most. So on any given day, and the busiest day, we may see 10, but it's probably more like 4 to 6 or 8, depending on the day of the week. But the semis themselves, and I know in Michigan you're allowed B-train trucks, or tractor trailers. So we would load them up as we can, probably anywhere from 60 to 80 ton trucks to deliver the material. But we have very few of them, so I think that is an advantage to both ourselves and the township, the fact that we are not creating a lot of traffic, both customer-wise and tractor-trailer-wise. So we do have very few trucks. We probably have about 3 to 5 delivery trucks as well, whether it be box trucks for shipping or our installed sales department. We would probably have probably 3 to 5 of those deliveries during the day. It's all time specific, so it's not an exact time on when we be delivering, but and those are just basically box trucks delivering windows and specialty items to any kind of customers or contractors, to job sites and things like that. As far as the main building and screening, like I said, we talked, and David mentioned about we're going to upgrade the main facade to, since we are installing a stone vinyl fence, we will carry that fence across the facade of the main building, which is the north side facing Pioneer, replacing the brick with a stone veneer to match the stone vinyl fencing. We're adding a nice entrance canopy to sort of enhance the entrance of the building. We're putting some striping on it. We will add some signage according to township ordinance. I think 200 square feet would be the limit of that. So we have done some work in addressing the facade and upgrades to that as well. As far as the outdoor storage goes, we have it shown sort of specific places just to the west of the main building in this area here. And we'll have obviously outside storage just to the kind of a double road area. So trucks would come in here on the western edge, come through the property, and any kind of loading and unloading and materials, whether it be a customer or other types of contractors. They come, they drive in. Our forklifts, this is kind of like a quick and dirty getting rid of material for them. So that's why it's stacked outside. It can be outside in the elements because it's a quick moving item. So the outdoor storage areas that you see are basically items just that can be moved really quickly, 2x4s and things like that. The customers like it's a kind of a free flow thing, which it's one advantage that we have, that we feel like we are very well at handling customers that can handle any kind of project like that. So the sheds themselves, we'll have 2 sheds just to the west of that, which will be part of phase 1. And that's just for other material that can't stay out in the air. Different types of wood products, whether it be plywood or drywall or something, but OSB or something like that. Now, the intent too, as David mentioned too, is we're trying to screen the entire property. We've done a lot of work and going back and forth with the township and taking photographs of what's existing and trying to create the best landscaping and screening so that when you drive by Pioneer Drive, you really won't see too much, except for you'll see the facade which will have a stone veneer to it, and you'll see a lot of green. I think you're going to see a lot of trees. So the intention is that you don't really need to see the lumber. You can just see our building and come in. So all the trees that you see on this plan, basically around the northeastern side, the north edge here, and all along, the western side here, which is down below it on the screen, and the north side, and all along Pioneer, we'll have double rows of spruces or pines, depending on what the final outcome would be. That'll all enclose and screen both phase 1 and phase 2. As far as phase 1 goes, the limit would be right here at the edge of the lot, unit 27. We will put up a vinyl fence, which is a stone facing fence here, which is actually, right here along the side that faces Pioneer. And then all the 3 sheds over here in phase 2 will be, let's go back to the screening part. Well, all the screening on the existing trees along units, vacant lots of 25 and 24 we use to screen phase 1. So in addition to all the screening along Pioneer, all the existing vegetation and trees that exist on the vacant lots will stay in place for phase 1, and then that gets removed when phase 2 comes along. So I think we've done a lot of work in trying to incorporate existing and proposed as far as along Pioneer goes. Along the back side, which is the south side, there's some existing businesses. We all the area to the south, excuse me, west would be upgraded as well with double pine, since there's not much vegetation there. Up along the due south of the building, the main building, there is some established tree line. So we've decided to only add 1 row of pines along here. There's already existing asphalt here, so there's sort of a limited space on how much we could actually plant along this row right here to the south on the southerly line. So we've tried to put in as many trees as we can, and then all the existing vegetation in the southeasterly corner is very well established, and I don't think there's any need at all for this corner down here, which is behind the back of the main building anyway, so you really wouldn't see anything. As far as drainage goes, and in compliance with township, we proposed some detention basins, which we will get into detail if this gets approved, and get into site plan approval as far as drainage and making sure that we do not increase the rate of flow on existing conditions. So the ponds would be, obviously the pond for basin 101 would be for phase 1, and basin number 2 is for phase 2. So we've attempted to at least show in principle what's going on there. Let me see if we can go to the renderings a little bit here. So this would be what you would see is as you pull into Pioneer on the western entrance, which is the main entrance for our trucks and larger delivery vehicles. As David mentioned, we're talking about is this is a stone vinyl fence, and we would carry that into the building, the existing building, and all the brick that you see. Well, you don't see the brick now because we have now stone vinyl, and we carry that across. What currently is brick is all along the northern and the northeastern part of the building, and that would all be stone as well. This is the entrance canopy that we were talking about as far as upgrading it to enhance the entrance. We have an 80-foot lumber monument sign, excuse me, which will, per township ordinance, is I think a 4x8 or some. It's allowable by code. And our 80-foot lumber sign, and with some striping, which will enhance the building a little bit. Let's see. Going back to the site plan. Let's see. As I mentioned, the hours of operation on this for the facility will be roughly 7 to 5 Monday through 7 to 6 Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 on Saturdays. We'll be closed on Sundays. As far as any kind of impervious, we'll go down and talk about the asphalt. Currently, a lot of the yard is gravel. The existing asphalt is right along this line right now. There's a lot of gravel currently on the to the west of the existing pavement. This will all be paved, and then on phase 2, the entire development will be paved over the phase 2. So that's sort of a synopsis of what's going on. I'm trying to get the other renderings up. For some reason, I'm not getting them. Here with me.
Hey, Jim, it says 1 of 9 on your renderings. If you click the
Okay.
next one, there you go.
So here we go. This is another view of the main building, just basically from the northeastern side, which just again shows the stone facade with the entrance and our striping. This view is as you be driving along Pioneer, going southbound, entering the property. As you see all the trees along the that would be the north westerly side of the right of way, will screen the entire development, both phase 1 and phase 2. This rendering is sort of just an overview of the whole property, and again, just pointing out all the screening that we're showing. Those are the 2 sheds to the top of the screen here would be in phase 1. The other 3 sheds here are phase 2. Just another overview of the site, looking a different direction from the southwest. This picture is sort of from the northwest. Another overview picture, and one more picture just basically along Pioneer again, and one more photo from the south. North, I'm sorry. So those are all the renderings we did, trying to show the upgrades. I think what you're going to get is a very a good product, and much better than what's there now. And we're looking forward to coming to Commerce Township, and we're happy to answer any questions anyone would have.
Okay, Jim, thank you very much. And before I open this up to the rest of the commissioners here, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And Dave, maybe you can help out here. Number one is you have on your render on this view that you're showing here, there's another little 3 or 4 trees that are in an island area. Are you taking that out? I know this is not a site plan. I understand that, but I think we need to ask these questions now.
Are you talking about the rendering in this area here, or?
No, go back to the.
Jim, if you could go to the site plan,
there.
you see that little half moon island near the?
Right here?
No,
Right here?
Right there, yeah. that's the
So
one.
you're showing that exists, and it's got some I think 3 pretty good sized spruce trees on it.
Yeah, that'll stay.
Okay, the rendering didn't show it as staying,
right.
so we wanted
Exactly.
to clarify.
Okay, and number 2, where you have these 5 overhead doors in front, you're showing parking in front of those. Are you going to eliminate those doors? Are you not going to have parking in front of there?
I really don't think we will need 5 doors. We probably will need 1 or 2. Once we get into the details of our interior merchandising and storage, I'm pretty sure we'll probably eliminate a couple of those for sure, maybe 3 of them. And then we would just have probably parking there, yes.
Okay, Dave, this is for you, and will they meet the parking requirement? I mean, let's talk about this right now. Are they gonna meet the parking requirement if they block up a couple of those doors?
I will acknowledge that we haven't looked at this in the detail of parking. Jim, if you could go back to the site plan.
Yeah, we actually are showing parking where these doors are at. And I'm pretty sure I did some calculations saying that we do have enough parking as shown per the plan. And it turns out we probably won't even need any of those doors. And I'm showing parking where those doors are at now, because most likely we will just get rid of all the doors and enter from the side of the building, which would be the north westerly corner, which is in this area right here. So we may keep one of those doors, I guess, but most likely we'll use the side of the building for
And then you're also showing parking, Jim, on the west side of the building?
Yeah, there's parking here for employees right here.
This is the wrong time to talk about this, because we're not reviewing the site plan right now, but I don't want any problems later on finding that you can't do what you want to do, you know. Okay, so we can, Dave, you'll look into that and we can move along with this.
I will. I mean, the lumberyard is maybe a little bit different animal in terms of how the customers come and go, and how many of them will actually enter the store. The one thing I will say is there's going to be no shortage of paved area on this site. So seemingly there's lots of opportunities to increase the number of parking spaces if we need it.
I'm very confident we can accommodate parking and still make our building work. So.
All right, so let's move along here. Bill, you got any comments?
I do not.
No? Okay. George?
Well, as you can guess, I do. Mr. Zonik, Mr. Zonik, can you clarify again? I tried to write down your delivery schedules, and I had 3 to 5 from between 6:30 and 7 in the morning. I had 3 to 5 midday, another 3 to 5 in the evening, and then 3 to 5 delivery trucks.
Yeah.
To
clarify, our tractor trailers, we usually have 2 different time frames. One's early in the morning, 6:30 to 7. Like I say, it can vary 3 to 5 trucks depending on the time, the day of the week and how busy we are. The second time frame for the semi-tractor trailers would be noon to 3. That time frame maybe before 3:30, 4 o'clock. I spoke to Greg Rainey, who's our store manager in Maumee, Ohio, just about 4 hours ago about this very subject, and that's how they operate, and that's how many of our stores operate. The other trucks I was talking about are for delivery of windows and doors, and they're basically box trucks. That's sort of more sporadic, depending on customer need. It could be 9 o'clock, and all of a sudden it could be a nooner, and it could be 4 or 5 o'clock time. So, but he has 3 trucks, and they're just kind of random back and forth. So you might get 2 trucks going out. If you have 3 trucks and they go out twice daily, so that's you have maybe 6 deliveries or 8 deliveries depending on what the need is.
Thank you. So as it relates to that, have you thought about, so 6:30 to 7 is, that's a heavy traffic time along Martin Parkway. Everybody heading south for work. Obviously not in the last few months. However, if I'm assuming the majority of your trucks are going to be coming from the south and are going to have to make a left-hand turn onto Pioneer from Martin Road, which is not going to be an easy turn. Have you thought about that? And do you have any comments on that?
We will look into that further. I've talked to some folks in Maumee and knowing just about trucks and deliveries. And I know there's certain radii you have to adhere to, and you have to make sure you can have turning movements, like you said. We will look into that further, but I mean, we will make sure that whatever direction we go is we can make the turns. I haven't got into a whole traffic control plan yet, and if that's needed, we can get into that in further detail. But I would assume that other tractor trailers have come down this road before. I could be wrong, but we'll definitely make the best path we can to get to this property.
Related topic, you mentioned the average truck coming in is a 60 to 80 ton truck. Have your engineers looked at Pioneer Drive? And I guess where I'm going with this is a concern on the weight of the trucks coming in on that private road, and specifically a road right now that is in pretty poor condition with speed bumps, and the impact that your trucks are going to have on that road, and how all the other residents or business owners will be impacted by that.
We have not looked into detail as far as the the construction drawings of Pioneer and how it was built and what the specs they're built to. We will dig into that, obviously. I know, and we're willing, obviously, as part of the association, I'll pay a percentage of maintenance into the park. We are obviously more than willing to pay our fair share, and if need be, it might be some kind of prorated share depending on how many trucks we have versus other property owners. We haven't got into the details with the association yet, but we would obviously looking forward to reaching out to those folks and working with them on that.
Okay, I would, now that we obviously have another 3 weeks or so, I would highly recommend that. And I know Dave and Larry, I'm sure we'll get to it in a minute, but we've had 2 letters of objection sent to us, and at least one other property owner has contacted us to voice concerns with the project.
Yeah, we saw the letters.
Okay. The last question I have has to do with the runoff and the detention pond on the north side. And I mentioned this the first time that you shared with us the site plan. Have you, and my request at that time was to look at the west side. The renderings that you have don't quite show how close to the property line of the business to the north that retention pond is. It's very, very close, as some of us walked that property earlier. So I know you've got to have radius, you've got to be able to get your trucks around, but I'm interested in any thoughts you've had based upon, again, the previous request I made several weeks or months ago on looking to the west side for a retention pond.
You're talking about us in the area down to the this westerly
Yes.
line here. Yeah.
Correct.
To the north.
Well, this is
Wow.
this is right now the pond is basically at the northwesterly corner. This is for phase 2 now.
Yes.
Our first pond is sort of in this general area here, which kind of splits the lots, but is mainly for the additional phase 1 paving over gravel, and then the smaller area for phase 2 would be accommodated into this area to the north. Now, haven't done any detailed calculations yet as far as capacities. If it turns out the pond needs to be increased in size, we would definitely either wrap it around the western edge, or, if we have to, we remove some asphalt on this westerly side to create a larger capacity. But we haven't got into the details of, total size until once approved, then we can go to the site plan design phase.
But you're amenable
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
to move that to the west and eliminate it from the north.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can at least move this section of the pond, which faces Pioneer. We can easily, grab more room over here and capacity over here.
Jim, if having that pond at the north end is concerning to the planning commission, could the pond for phase 1, could it be increased in size and or depth to accommodate any runoff from phase 2?
Yeah, what we can do, and getting into the details again with the site plan and drainage calculations, we can actually take the center area between the both ponds and sort of combine them, and maybe just make one large pond that could be built maybe entirely now, and then be used once phase 2 does come along. If and when we can then that pond could already be there for phase 2. So, and doing that area is not going to affect the existing vegetation, which is currently this clouded area. So that could easily be done also, is grabbing more capacity that way.
And Mr. Zonik, the last question I have, you mentioned that there's going to be ballpark 100 customers a day. Does 84 Lumber do deliveries? You meaning,
Yes.
are you delivering loads to job sites for?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so is that included in that 100 customers a day?
Yes. Like I say, when we do our deliveries with box trucks or small other beds, we take into account that. So there's probably 100 slips, maybe a little bit over 100, but nothing crazy. It's not like a Lowe's or a Home Depot. This is a very contractor-oriented business, so it's on an as-needed basis.
But some of these are, I'm assuming, are going to be pretty large trucks, trusses, full
Yes.
home lumber jobs. So the theme here, I'm getting back to wear and tear on that road. So
Yeah.
I would
we'll
strongly encourage you to reach out to the association and try to speak with them and come up with something that in the next meeting we can discuss on that front. So that's, I know, probably maybe more than you wanted, but those are the only questions I have.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right, George, you all set?
Yes.
Brian Perro.
I'm actually good for now. I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm good.
Okay, Chelsea, any comments?
I'm good, thanks.
You're good. Okay, Sam?
Yes, I would like, if it's possible in the future, when you come with a site plan, it correlate and work with the rendering which we have, because I'm looking at the site plan as an architect, it doesn't reflect the rendering. I mean, the entrance and the walls. So if the next time presentation, if they could work together, that would be really great.
Okay, so you want our site plan to match the rendering more, or the rendering? We'll have the renderings match the site plan a little better.
Whatever. I mean, when I got two, which one is the right one?
Correct, yeah.
That's number one. And I do agree with George. I have a concern at the entrance from to Pioneer from Martin Road. That is, I pass there every day, and at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a nightmare there. So turning from there might be a problem.
Okay, we will look into
I
that.
don't know if we can address it to make the main entrance to that road from Richardson Road, but something to think about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I
Okay,
think the
yeah.
concern is not just the trucks being able to, geometrically make the turn, but also the potential for a truck blocking through traffic while it's waiting to make that left turn, because there is no center left turn lane. So I think that's the concern, is that Martin Road being busy as it is, a truck, waiting a long period of time to be able to make the turn, and all the traffic that's going to be held up behind it.
Got it.
Okay, Brian Winkler. Brian, you're muted.
Larry, I have a couple things.
Go ahead.
One is, if you look at the rendering of the north elevation, they have the stone veneer low where the entrance to the building is, and then it raises up over the overhead doors. I might make the suggestion that they take that stone up to that first stone band, or the first red band of the
Right
building.
here?
All
Yes.
along the elevation.
That's a good point. We thought about doing that, and we said, well, we'll present this for now, but that's a very good suggestion. We can do that.
Okay, I'd like to make that suggestion. And then, Mr. Zonik, you might remember when you first came in front of the Planning Commission for your preliminary site plan review, I asked the question about the possibility of using permeable pavers rather than the asphalt, where you're putting new asphalt in. And it was simply a question at the time that was in regards to just reducing the amount of hard paving area you're adding to a portion of phase 1 and to phase 2. And is that something that 84 Lumber, have you considered that in the past? Is that something that you might look at, or does it not work with your high-lows and your forklifts and things like that?
Yeah, one of the things we would have issue with that is just the strength of porous pavement. I know it works well in certain places where I've seen it used in freeways and interstates and things like that. But when we have our forklifts that are loaded up with materials and tires that sort of just circulate around, maneuver, it makes it very difficult. We have even our own yard problems. I'll say it now in many yards where we're constantly trying to replace asphalt. So it makes it even a harder, difficult situation when you have pavers that aren't as strong and porous pavement in general, not with the strength. So we prefer to keep it as asphalt if we could.
Understood. Lastly, I agree with Sam Kareem's comment about making sure that the renderings and the site plan and the landscaping plan match up together. So
yeah, we'll upgrade them.
Thank you.
I just have a couple more questions. Are you going to carry plumbing supplies and electrical supplies?
Yes, to a certain degree, not a lot, but yes, we do have all types of building supplies: plumbing, electrical, mechanical.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ken, can you hear me all right? Hello, Ken.
No more comments, sir.
Pardon me? Well, I'd like to open the public hearing. In fact, I will open the public hearing. And as soon as Ken gets on, he'll get in touch with these folks and we'll see if they have any comments.
Yeah, again, to the callers that are online, if you'd like to press *9 on your keypad, we will be alerted that you would like to speak. Again, that function is *9 on your keypad. While we're waiting for that, Mr. Huber, we also have a computer that is in the waiting room. And as you know, the computers that we allow into the meeting become closed at 7 o'clock. I'm not sure if this is a person that would like to speak. However, if you are watching the YouTube live stream right now, you need to call in on the regular phone line. This information is available on the Commerce Township website, but I'll provide the number for you real quick. That number is 312-626-6799, and then include the meeting ID and password. Again, this information is found on the Commerce Township website. And once again, to the callers, if you'd like to press *9 on your keypad to alert us that you'd like to talk, we will unmute your line. I don't see any callers at this time, Mr. Huber.
Okay, very good. I have a letter in front of me from a David Beal, 535 Laguna Court, Wolverine Lake. I'm not going to read this. Deb, you have this and you'll enter it into the minutes, please. We don't need to, everybody got a copy of it, so we don't need to read it in here right now. Is there anybody else that has any other comments? Because if not, I can't close the public hearing. We're going to leave it open until next meeting, and we can move on after that. Is there anything more from
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Haber, hopefully the Planning Commission received 2 letters. One letter from Mr. Beal, as you mentioned, the other from Hal Kaufman
Okay.
of 5537 Tequestra Drive in West Bloomfield. Hopefully you all received that one. If
I only
somehow
have
you
one, so I'll have to look at that another time.
The Mr. Kaufman letter was provided to us in the package that Paula had sent out, and maybe just for the public viewing, a synopsis of those were I think primarily weighted to the overall zoning of the complex. Moving it, the request was to move it back to a light industrial zoning from the present TLM. Other comment again that came to us outside of a letter had to do with concerns over traffic and water runoff once phase 2 got completed and we had a very large asphalt pad.
I would agree that the concern in both letters is that they would like to see the entire Homestead Park be zoned to industrial rather than just these 3 properties being conditionally rezoned to industrial.
Okay, are there any other comments from anybody?
Got one,
Jay?
for Larry, or two. They go to George's questions. You talked about Pioneer Drive, George. I know that that road was constructed to meet road commission standards. I believe it's a 9-inch thick concrete roadway, which should be sufficient to handle any vehicles which go on public roads. So it should be able to handle the loads which they're referring to. But it is worth checking.
It's asphalt. It's not concrete.
Pioneer Drive down at that end?
It's all asphalt and.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different. And then as far as drainage, yes, if your desire is to move that pond, I'm sure during engineering, we can make sure that it's, there is no pond along the north property line. If it be, they enlarge the pond for phase 1 or move it to the other, that can all be handled during the design phase.
Yes, Mr. Weber, Nancy McLean from Giffords Webster followed up with me on Jason Mayer's behalf. Jason's on vacation this week. And she said, yes, there are different options that we could look at the site plan review stage to move or relocate or differently size that northern pond if that northern pond's location is a concern to the Planning Commission.
Anything more, Jay?
Nope.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? Jim, Bethany, anybody? You're all good?
I think we're good.
So
Okay.
again, just for the sake of the public, we are leaving the public hearing open and we will resume the public hearing at the Planning Commission's meeting on October 5th. We're not going to republish it because as long as we leave it open, we don't need to republish it. But in the meantime, Mr. Zanuck and Ms. Cipher, I know, are going to get that 4x8 sign installed in front of the property by this Sunday. It needs to be done by the 20th because it's 15 days prior to the October 5th meeting.
Right.
All right, well, thank you all, and we're going to move on now. We're going to go to item number 2.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
thank you.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Okay. That's PSU 20-03 mobile gas station special land use, and this will also be a public hearing.
It will, and I will kind of repeat what Mr. Milburn said earlier. There's at least one device in the waiting room that we can't let into the waiting room because then that would open us up to the Zoom bombing, as we call it. But I have a suspicion that the person who's in the waiting room is interested in the mobile gas station project. So if that individual is watching us on the YouTube feed, their opportunity to participate in the public hearing would be to call in at the number that's posted on the township's website when we open the public hearing. But we can't let that device into the actual Zoom meeting for security reasons. So the second public hearing of the evening is the expansion of a special land use for an existing gas station at 3004 Union Lake Road. So this is the southwest corner of Union Lake Road and Commerce Road. It's the existing mobile station out in front of the shopping center with the former Hillers, along with, you know, Dunkin' Donuts and Kickstand Brewery and Jimmy John's and those places. The owner of the gas station, Mohammed Zirdine, and I told him earlier today I was going to mess up his last name, so I apologize for that. Mr. Zirdine would like to demolish the existing retail building, which is about 900 square feet. If you've ever driven by it, it's quite a small retail building. And he would like to replace it with a 3,237 square foot retail building to take its place. In order to make space for that, he would take the existing canopy, which currently extends across all of his fueling stations and the existing retail building. He would take out a portion of that fueling canopy in the middle to create space and increase the height of the existing building. The property is zoned B3, general business, and gas stations are a special land use in B3. So because Mr. Zirdine is proposing to expand a special land use, then we are obligated to hold a public hearing, and he is obligated to seek special land use approval from the Planning Commission for the expansion of the existing use. So what Mr. Zierdine is seeking from the Planning Commission this evening is actually two approvals. One would be for the expansion of the special land use, and then correspondingly for the site plan for the new building and the reconfiguration of the site in order to accommodate that new building. In order to make space for the larger building, he would be removing some of the existing fueling pumps. And as I mentioned, reconfiguring the canopy. It's worth noting that this existing site is a non-conforming site. It is not built to the design standards that the township would require if a brand new gas station were to be built on an undeveloped property today. So Article 39 of our zoning ordinance addresses what the Planning Commission's goal is with a non-conforming site, and that goal is to reach reasonable compliance with today's standards. And reasonable is defined as in proportion to the scale and the scope of what they're proposing to do. So Mr. Zierdanian is proposing to demolish and build a new building. So it would be up to the Planning Commission what other site improvements would be reasonable to require as part of an expansion of that scale. So the Planning Department did a review of his proposal with help from the Township Engineer and the Township's Landscape Architect, and their respective review letters are included in your packet. What we didn't get in writing, but we did get verbally, was the review of the Township's Fire Marshal, who's comfortable with the proposed design and the circulation around the site and around the new building. The landscape architect and the Township Engineer both recommended approval subject to some relatively minor conditions some relatively minor revisions to the site plan. So the Planning Department's review letter dated September 9th that you received goes through the criteria that the Planning Commission is to consider for any special land use, or in this case, an expansion of a special land use. There's general criteria that are included in Article 34 of our zoning ordinance, and then there's use-specific criteria included in Section 26.302. Specific special land use criteria for a automotive fueling station. In our review letter, you'll notice that we bolded some of the items that we think warrant some particular discussion of the Planning Commission. Those bolded items have to do with the photometric plan and the lighting plan for the site. The township does have specific standards for the lighting of a gas station, including lighting under the canopy. This one's a little bit unique in that they're proposing to keep but also upgrade the existing canopy, so it might be up to the Planning Commission whether that warrants bringing the lighting system up to today's lighting standards. Excuse me. One of the things we noted was the site being at the corner of Commerce and Union Lake Roads. Seemingly would be a candidate for consideration of requiring frontage sidewalks along both road frontages. It's relevant to note that the intersection of Commerce and Union Lake Road already has pedestrian signals at all four corners and crosswalks, and there's actually a receiving ramp at the southwest corner, which is the corner for the mobile station. So the site is seemingly teed up for pedestrian connectivity, and so it would be the Planning Commission's authority to decide whether or not to require new sidewalks along the frontage of this site as a condition of site plan approval. Another thing that we're hoping the Planning Commission would take a look at is the existing canopy, and whether if this were a new gas station, we would likely require that the canopy's columns be cladded in either a stone or a brick material that would match and enhance the building. So that might be something that the Planning Commission would want to take a look at as a condition of site plan approval. And it's also worth noting that the existing monument side, which I think the owner just replaced within the last couple of years, is a digital fuel price sign. I know we've had a number of conversation about digital signs in general and digital fuel price signs in particular, and whether or not we'd want to take another look at this fuel price sign as we're looking at this this site plan. So again, the Planning Commission is to open and close a public hearing this evening, consistent with state law, for the expansion of the special land use. And then would have the option to consider approval of both the site plan and the special land use and the corresponding site plan. I know Mr. Zierdine and his architect, Marcia Horning, are with us this evening, and I know they want to make their own presentation. I'll answer any questions that the planning commission might have before we turn it over to them.
Anybody have any questions before we open it up? And not to open the public hearing, but the discussion amongst ourselves? No? Okay, Mohammed, you want to give us your name and address and tell us what you would like to do?
Yes, sir. Thank you, David, and thanks for working with us to get to this point. We've had many discussions and appreciate the guidance. My name is Mohammed Zainuddin. I live in Dearborn Heights, 241 North Evangeline Street, Dearborn Heights. I've been operating at that location in Commerce Township since 2010. It's a small family business. Yeah, so it requires significant improvement, and we've explored multiple ideas and options. And at the end of the day, this is the recommended or advised plan to proceed. So if no questions for me, I'll ask Marcia to provide more details on the plans, unless someone has any questions for me.
Okay, Marcia, can we have your name and address also?
Sure. Marcia Horning. I'm with Jeffrey Scott Architects. It's 32316 Grand River in Farmington. I'll just share my screen and I'll walk you through the site plan and things that are changing and things that will be staying the same. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. As Mr. Campbell said, this is at southwest corner of Commerce and Union Lake Road. It is a very small, kind of almost a kiosk, what was very popular at one point, kiosk gas station, about 900 square feet. The necessity to upgrade is just really to get the business to function properly and allow for more, more selections for customers. What we have done, the traffic patterns, so if I'll kind of, in this area was the existing building. The traffic patterns will remain the same. I am removing, and you can see in the small dash line right here, we're removing one single pump island. It was a double-sided pump island, but we are removing that to allow for the larger building. The rear of the building is almost at the same location as the existing building. We come back a little bit farther to the west, but not much. We are adding a sidewalk around the entire building. There's not one there now. It just kind of drops off in the back and not much protection for any pedestrian or workers around the building. So the existing curb cuts will remain off Commerce and off Union Lake Road. No changes to either one of those. There are two access points, one to the west to the shopping center and one to the south to the shopping center as well. So it really gives this, traffic flow pattern is going to remain the same. The existing underground tanks storage is right here. Those will also remain where they are. So the fueling station or the fueling truck pattern will not change. I believe they come in here, might come in here right now, leave out here. They can do the same here. The nice thing is that we maintain kind of 360 around the building. Like I said, the traffic patterns remain the same. Tanks will stay in the same place. The existing trash enclosure right here, it's old. We are going to upgrade it. It's kind of a conglomeration of outside storage and transformer. So this whole area in the southwest corner will be cleaned up to provide new dumpster enclosure, masonry to match the building, and just better flow altogether. The air and vacuum are also over here. We're able to get parking spaces along the front of the building, so easy access to the building with handicap ramp. see. Like I said, we're removing one of the pump islands. Let me go to the, so the canopy. The canopy right now stretches north to south and basically encompasses the existing building. We looked at it for a long time to see if there was any way we could do this, and it just became prohibitive. We weren't getting any benefit on height for not splitting the canopy. So with the canopy, it's going to be modified or new. We're exploring both options. However, both options, it would be reclad in, new apron around it. And it would be similar to what is there now for coloring. So it's not Mobile doesn't do anything like the Sunoco with the racing fuel logos or anything like that. It's really just color and small mobile. And also I'll speak to the lighting. The existing light poles that we have on the site, we would like to reuse those. What we would like to upgrade those to LED to meet township standards. And also whenever we do with the canopy, the new lighting will be LED and recessed to meet township standards. So I spoke with the gas contractor this afternoon, and yeah, it's all of the new canopies, and even when they go in and modify them, they will not be surface mounted, so no light source, things like that. So you'll be able to, the new lighting will meet the township standards and will give the planning department a full photometric and cut sheets of what those look like. But yeah, we intend to meet those requirements. As far as the canopy goes, speaking to Mr. Campbell's comment about the columns, it actually is, I spoke with Mr. Zardine today, and he would like to enclose those. So I believe that what we would probably do is do maybe split face on the bottom, similar to the building, do split face on the bottom, and then do stone on top, just to mimic what's happening on the building. And I will go to the rendering here.
Marcia, while you do that, is the intent to take that stone all the way to the top of the
Yeah.
canopy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think yeah, as far as we can go, just still make it functional, and if they need to get anything, but yeah, we would take them to the bottom of the canopy. And the canopy, regardless of whether it is modified or a new canopy goes there, it's going to remain at the same height. So, which I believe is at about 14 feet right now.
So it's still possible you might have to replace the canopy entirely?
We may have to replace it if they get in there. They're looking at it right now to see if the structure will, if it will be easier to modify, or it will be easier just to put in two new separate canopies. The shape, regardless of each, the shape will remain the same, and the cladding would be the same, as well as the lighting. And then, so the exterior, can everybody see the exterior now?
No.
No, okay, let me,
Still to see
I
the
think
site
I've
plan.
got I've got to switch. Hold on one second, sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, so what we are planning on the exterior, I'll go to the front elevation. So is really to try to kind of break up the facade and give some various materials. I've got a concrete split face concrete block base, and then ledge stone columns. We're using fiber cement hardy board siding for the majority of the field, storefront glazing, and these areas here for over the door and along here would be a corrugated metal panel to just kind of give a little bit of interest, some different modern materials. Along the side, we have outdoor storage on the south side, I believe as the Mr. Campbell's letter said, and yes, we do and fully intend to enclose in this area here. This would be for ice and for propane. It's not the intent to have any other outdoor storage. So, you know, firewood, wiper fluid, those would not be outside any longer. So we're working right now through the through our construction documents and taking a look. Our intent is to shield the shield the rooftop units as well with the building height. So we want to get the parapets high enough to kind of mask that as well. If there are any questions, I think I went over. Yeah, I think I went over a couple of the comments. I looked at the engineering comments and both the landscape comments, and like you said, like Mr. Campbell said, there's not, you know, there's nothing really that we're not accepting of or that we wouldn't plan to comply with. We are upgrading the landscaping, basically just giving everything kind of a lot of things are overgrown, giving everything a fresh look. And if I can answer any questions, I would be happy to.
Okay, I think Marshall will have some questions after we hear the public hearing.
Perfect.
So we'll, at this point, we'll open the public hearing. I'd like to mention to the public that are interested in speaking, please state your name and your address. Mr. Milburn will recognize you when you make the proper signal. And even though we may not answer all your questions, we hear them and we listen to them. Some of them we may answer, but some of them we may not. So please understand that we do hear you. I'm also asking the people that are speaking, I'd like you to limit this to about 2 to 3 minutes. And please don't reiterate what everybody else said. We only need to hear it one time, and that's good. George, I'm going to ask you to take Mr. Jones's place and keep it down to 2 or 3 minutes and just interrupt when the 2 minutes get up. Would you do that for me, please?
Anything for you, Mr. Haber.
Well, okay, we'll talk about that later. So with that, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody that wishes to speak, please signify. And Ken, you're on here.
Thank you, Mr. Haber. We do have a caller that has their hand raised. Before we get to you, caller, to the other callers that are on the line, if you would like to speak, please press *9 on your keypad and we will ask to unmute your line if you have a question. Again, press *9 on your keypad. Okay, we're going to go to the caller right now that has their hand raised. The last 4 digits of their phone number is 6182. We're going to ask to unmute your line, caller. You can do that by pressing *6. And again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller. Caller with the last 4 digits of 6182. Press *6 on your keypad to unmute your line. Go ahead, caller.
And I'm seeing their telephone icon with a slash through it. Does that mean they're on the line, but they're muted?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we are sending them a signal to unmute their line. They can do this by pressing *6 on their keypad. Maybe we can come back to that caller.
So maybe while we're waiting for the caller, I do have one question for Mr. Zaradine. As it's been a topic of recent discussion regarding alcohol sales within businesses along that corridor. Is part of your expansion process have anything to do with a future request to sell alcohol?
As a matter of fact, the request was made, and I understand the ordinance around it. It could be that I would ask for it in the future, but honestly, at this point, I understand what the ordinance is and don't have any plans to pursue it at this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Weber, I've had several conversations with Mr. Zaradine and with Ms. Horning about this topic. I'm guessing that Mr. Zaradine would love to see the township amend that ordinance to allow him to offer alcohol sales, but he understands that right now that's not an option given the other existing sales outlets in the immediate vicinity. So that is not part of his requests as part of this building renovation.
Okay, Ken, how are we doing with this caller?
There we go, caller. Please go ahead. Again, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is David Beal at 535 Laguna Court. I realize I'm probably too late getting in. You provided the phone number, but not the ID number or the password for the previous case. So I just wanted to let you know that. I realize you're in the middle of the other one, but by the time I could get that off the computer, it was way too late because the computer is running way behind on the cell phone meeting. So I suppose I could have an opportunity to have some discussion at a different time since I'm calling about another case, but I got through as quick as I could.
All right, Mr. Beal, yes, we have moved on from that, but we are going to revisit this at our next meeting, so you're more than happy to bring it up. The public hearing is still open at this point, but we can talk to you at the next meeting if that would be fine with you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And Mr. Beal, if I
Thank
may, you provided a letter to the Planning Commission that was included in their agenda materials, and it was included in tonight's record as well. But as Mr. Haber just said, we left the public hearing open to the October 5th meeting. So you'll be welcome to participate in that public hearing when we come back to it on October 5th.
Thank you.
And Mr. Beal, one last thing. The information that you're looking for is always found on the Commerce Township website. You'll find the meeting ID, the password, and the phone number, along with the YouTube channel, all the important information that will allow you to access this meeting.
Yes, I found that, just not quick enough. But I did find that. It's just that when you guys announced the phone number, that was all that was announced, and you needed more information than that, which I discovered when I tried to call. So just wanted to let you know, if you're going to give out the phone number, which is very helpful, you might want to give out the other information that's necessary along with the phone number for
Thank you.
the people that are not super computer savvy, like myself.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll look forward to hearing you in a couple of weeks.
Mr. Haber, we do have another caller on the line. The caller with the last four digits of 4240. We will ask you to unmute your line by pressing *6. And again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I got it figured out. Oh, hello. My name is Pam Jackson, 5736 Lancaster Lane, Commerce Township, Michigan. And I want to thank you for a very informative meeting. And this is the first one I've attended. And I'm looking forward to looking at the YouTube later. I just couldn't get my YouTube to function. And I did happen to see on your website the phone number, the password, and everything else. So I'm saying that I did see that on your website. But the meeting was informative, and I was very excited to hear all the details. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Pam, and you can stay tuned. There'll be more discussion going on in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm holding on. So now what do I do? Hit *9 again?
I'll mute you. Thank you, caller.
Okay.
And we have one last caller that has not spoken. Caller, if you'd like to speak and be identified, please raise your hand by pressing *9. Not seeing that caller raise their hand at this time, Mr. Haber.
Let's give him just a minute.
Again, if you'd like to speak, press *9 on your keypad.
Okay, I think that's probably long enough. If they're not making any indication that they wish to speak, we'll move on.
No hands at this time, Mr. Haber.
Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing and we'll open it to Bill. Now, this is just for the special land use, Bill. Let's do the special land use first, then we'll come back to the site plan. How's that?
Okay. Comments per site plan in the 5 items that the planning department had called out and be incorporated into the design. I was just wondering if that's something that they're willing to do.
Yes, so I guess as Marcia mentioned, yes.
Okay.
And we specifically looked at the sidewalk, and we talked about the sidewalk before. So yes.
Was there any thought given to deleting all of the concrete block and just using stone?
Marcia?
That's something that we can certainly look at. I know we've done it in the past with a whole wainscot of stone. Mohammed, that would be up to you. I like the look either way. The stone is nice. Cost difference is not that great. So
certainly we can consider.
Yeah, we could consider that. That would be appropriate, I think.
Well, Marcia, is what I'm hearing from you that including the split face block wasn't necessarily an economic decision. It was more of an architectural aesthetic,
yes.
just to have a difference in materials.
Right. I was just trying to break things up and not have some long expanses of things. So it was really just to kind of break your eye when you're looking across the building, especially where I think it helps a little bit is on the side, on the north and the south elevations, where I think it breaks it up a little bit better. But honestly, I think we did look at some stone, and we were just looking to add another element, but we could certainly take it under advisement. Yeah.
On your outdoor storage area, that those items that are being stored there will be visible to the south.
Correct. Yes, they would only be visible to the south. The height of the walls are currently the propane and the ice you wouldn't be able to see it, but to the south it would. However, that's I think from a view of, if you're going northbound on Union Lake Road, it's kind of at a good angle from the back of the building that you get a cutoff. I don't think you're really going to see too much of it. And the property line, the south property line has some good amount of landscaping too. So while that would remain open, I think that there are existing screening items that could do a pretty good job at it from being visible from the road.
All right, I don't have
any more questions, Bill?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, George?
I have no additional questions.
Really?
You can't give him a second. You can't give him another shot at it. He said he doesn't have any questions.
Well, I'm just trying to catch my breath, that's all. Brian Perrell.
Thanks. First of all, I just want to point out, I thought, Ms. Horning, I thought it was a great looking rendering. I think the building would be great. I'll take Mr. McKeever's lead on some of those materials that he's more familiar with, but I think it's beautiful. For me, obviously, if you know my history, and I think you've already agreed to it, the sidewalks I think are a must. It sounds like we have a plan for I'm just going through my list here. We have a plan for the pillars to be cladded, and on the I guess Dave referred to it as the skin of the canopy won't be used as an advertisement. And it sounds like we have a good plan for that. I'm not sure we've made a decision on lighting. However, I think a LED upgrade's important, and it sounds like, Dave, we might be able to handle some of those lighting issues, whether they're retrofitted or it sounds like we may not know the answer to some of those right now, whether some of the lighting is going to be retrofitted in the building and the canopy.
Well, if I may have you pause there, Mr. Perros.
Yeah.
Ms. Horning, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I thought I heard was the under canopy lighting would be upgraded to recessed LEDs.
Correct, yes.
And then there's pole mounted
And
fixtures for the rest of the
lights,
parking.
right?
I'm sorry, Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. I might have a bad connection. I was saying the under the canopy would be replaced, but the canopy itself also may be replaced too, right?
That's what I heard.
Correct. Either way we do it, we're able to either retrofit, or it would be all brand new. It would be recessed LED.
And then did I also hear, Marcia, the existing pole mounted lights would be, the poles would remain, but new fixtures atop them?
Correct. We would relamp, or we would refixture the top, put a new fixture on top of the existing poles, new LED to meet township standards.
Perfect. Sorry about that, Dave. Ms. Horning, I was just going to ask the air, and I got a couple more questions. The air and the vacuums, you mentioned moving them. Did you mention moving them? Are they moving, or are they in the same spot?
No, they're existing. The locations are existing right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. And the outdoor sales, you mentioned limiting them to propane and ice only. And David, I'm wondering if there's anything in the documentation that we're preparing that can to those items.
You cut out for a second, but I assume you want to know what we would have to hold them to that, Brian?
Yeah, or can we put it in the documentation?
If you were so inclined to include that as a condition of site plan approval, then that would run with the project indefinitely.
I would personally like to do that if the other commissioners agree. Other than that, thank you for the presentation. Well said.
Brian, make a note of that, so when we do the site plan approval, that you get that in there, okay?
Will do.
Chelsea, anything, any comments, any questions?
I am good, thank you.
Okay, you're good. Sam?
Yes, I do agree that the facade need more stone. It will look much nicer. I went there, looked twice on the site, and I would like Marcia for the rendering next time to include the canopy and how it relate to the building, height-wise and shape-wise. I didn't see it in your drawing right now.
It was actually I didn't include it on the I can pull it up for you. I included a black and white version of it. Let me zoom out here. Oops, apologize. So this is kind of an overall look of the canopy. Right now I'm working with about 16 feet. This could grow as we're doing our sections, and I'm trying to get the rooftop units. That could grow a little bit so I can screen them, but my intent is to fully screen those rooftop units.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the relation between the building and the canopy. I think it needs more work architecturally.
Yeah, I think that it's going to grow. It's going to get taller, just because I need to screen those units, and I've got some cut sheets today that I will need to heighten the building, but to keep everything proportionally. But I might be at 19 feet for the height, which I think would actually help.
Okay.
If I might jump in, Marcia, the building as you're showing it currently does have a parapet?
It does have a parapet, but it's rather small. So we're actually working on the construction documents right now, and I really want to screen those fully. So I need to grow the parapet. So it would be a taller parapet.
And is it possible that the rooftop mechanical equipment could be situated on the roof so that it's, more centralized on the roof and not visible from ground level?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my entire point, is that they're going to be in the center, but then also I would have parapets. I think I'm looking at like 36-inch parapet, so that any, from any side that you're not going to be able to see it.
Okay, so we'll wait for the next rendering to see how it's related and how it's going to work, because that's going to change the height of the canopy and the building.
And then that's going to raise a question of, is this something where you want them to bring it back to the planning commission, or is this something that these relatively minor revisions could be administratively approved by the planning department?
Let me jump in here for a minute. I'd like to see a final drawing on this. I'm a little uncomfortable with adjusting this without taking a good look at it. So when it comes to site plan, unless anybody else has a problem, we may want to put that off until the next meeting. I like to see exactly what it's going to look like, not what it's going to look, what if it's going to look like. Sam, are you done? Anything more you want to add?
I think that's about it. Thank you.
Brian Winkler.
Larry, with the comments about the screening of the rooftop mechanical equipment and the addition of the sidewalk, as Dave Campbell has suggested, I have no additional comments.
Okay, Jay, how do you feel about you want to see the whole thing before it's done?
Me?
Yeah, you're asking Jay?
I'm asking Jay right now. He's the building department. You're coming next.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you guys decide, I'll see their building plans after you guys tell me.
Okay. Dave, how do you feel about it then?
I think overall, this is a significant improvement to a corner that definitely needs a significant improvement. I always advocate for the abilities of myself and my department to administratively review and approve the things that I hear my planning commission say they want. If there's enough things here that you want it brought back to you at the October meeting, that's obviously your prerogative. But I also feel like I'm pretty attuned to what you're looking for, and I could review those if you want to go that route.
Okay, I have just a couple of questions. Marcia, I want to add, this canopy I found a little confusing when I was looking at it and reading it. Is it going to connect to the building? If you raise the height of this building, it's going to be a separate structure. It's not going to attach to the building at all.
Correct. Yeah, I can, let me pull up that. This real quick. So yeah, I've got space beyond the building that it will not be connected. So basically I'm splitting it apart so that building could grow.
Is there a reason why you wouldn't connect it?
Really just for structural, I'd like to keep them separate. Should and anytime something happen with the canopy or something happen with the building, then I'm only touching one item. So it makes it a little bit for future, say something gets hit, God forbid, but then I'm only dealing with the canopy or the building. I'm not dealing with both. And then right now, what we've seen in a lot of convenience store, gas station setups is not many locations are connecting the canopies to the buildings anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for those reasons that I stated.
Okay. Outdoor sales, we just touched upon that briefly. Mohammed, what are you going to have in the outdoor sales? Are you going to have propane, gas, wood, and what else?
Really, the intention right now is ice and propane. I heard the request to limit it to that. I would respectfully ask that if we could, it's an enclosed area. So if, let's say, we added washer fluid, we should be able to do that. But if you insist that it should only be ice and propane, so
Well, no, I'm asking you what you wanted to put there.
yeah, right. Yeah, right now, really, the plan and the design and what we've looked at is the ice and propane. That's it. And these are two things that propane we're not selling today because we can't store it. Ice, we have it inside the store and it takes a lot of space. So these are the two things.
I think what I'm getting at is I don't want to see a lot of stuff piled in front of this building.
We don't do it now. Yeah.
I don't want to see candy sales or stuff like that or other things that you decide to sell there. I'd like to see it inside the store, not outside.
Exactly. And that's an enclosed area really only for those items that lend themselves to that. It's not to, use it for anything else. It's propane and ice and potentially, could it be, wood? And then again, all not visible. All in that one spot. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, Mr. Haber, could I maybe I could follow up and maybe just elaborate on what I said. I said that maybe we would put some language in limiting the sales in that area to ice and propane. But now that I think of it and with the applicant's comments, considering it, I'm okay with opening it up. And I think this would solve your problem too if we just said that all outdoor sales are limited to that area and the sales area that on the rendering, and they are to be completely screened on 3 sides.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, Brian. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Normally, we would have a material board. Dave, are you comfortable with no material board here?
Well, obviously with the Zoom meeting format, a material board is kind of a difficult thing to pass around. But given the material mix that's proposed here, if you're asking me if I'm comfortable without having one, I am, but I know that's something that, at least when we were having in-person meetings, that the Planning Commission very much favored.
Okay, and Dave, I have no problem with administrative approval of these, of the height restrictions and stuff like that. It depends if anybody else does. I just bring it up because normally, if there's significant changes, we would like to see it before it moves on.
Actually, if you'd like, I do have it. It's not a black and white version, but I do have a CAD version of exactly what it could look like. So if you'd like to see that, I could pull it up.
Yes.
And you can get comfortable with it, hopefully.
Sure.
It's not too dissimilar, but if you can imagine that this is here is the existing canopy and how it relates to a little bit taller building. This allows me to screen those rooftops fully.
Mm-hmm. I like that better.
Yeah, I think it's a better. It gives us more height on the inside for ceiling.
The other way again, Marshall.
The other?
Yeah, that's fine, right there. No, it wasn't there another, the one that was taller?
This is the taller one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the taller one. Yep. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more proportional with the canopy.
Okay, anybody have any other questions before we move on? None? Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Do we need to close the public hearing?
Oh,
Can I close it?
Let's close it again if you did.
Okay, well, I'll officially close the public hearing if it hasn't been done before. And then we can move on. Does somebody want to make a motion on either approval or denial of the request?
So, and before anyone does, just another reminder that there's 2 potential motions here. One regarding the special land use, and then subsequent to that would be a motion to relative to the site plan.
Great. Okay, so we'll take the first motion on the special land use.
So, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say I'd be happy to make the motions, but Mr. Haber, are you comfortable with the rendering, the description of the rendering that Ms. Horning?
Yeah, I think so. I think I am. I don't have.
Okay.
I mean, this is no matter what happens. It's hard to not make an improvement on it. So I'm all for it.
Okay, well then I would be happy to make.
22 years I've been looking at that.
I would happy to make the let's see, be happy to move to approve. And this is for the special land use, David. Move to approve PSU 20-03, a special land use for the mobile gas station to allow an expansion of an automobile fueling station within the B3 zoning district located at 3004 Union Lake Road. Special land use approval is based on a finding that the applicant has demonstrated to the satisfaction of the Planning Commission that the proposed use complies with the special land use criteria of section 34.08 of the zoning ordinance, as well as the use standards of section 26.302. Special land use approval is based on the following conditions, and it is the two conditions recommended. Approval of a corresponding site plan by the Planning Commission and any other conditions as determined by the Planning Commission, which I don't believe in this case we have any as they relate to the special land use. Correct me if I'm wrong, David.
All the conditions I heard were site plan specific, not use specific.
Yes, sir. So I think we can vote on this, the motion for the mobile gas station, if you agree, Mr. Haber.
Yeah, we can do that as soon as somebody seconds it.
Second.
George, thank you very much. Deb?
Carol,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
McKeever,
Aye.
Rebeck,
Aye.
Kareem,
Aye.
Haver,
Aye.
Winkler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the site plan, which we've pretty much discussed here. And I'm just going to open this to everybody because everybody's had a chance to speak on this. Is there any other site plan issues that you would like to speak to? Okay, as part of the site plan, we'll give administrative approval to Dave to see the renderings of the increased height of the building. And if anybody has any objection to that, let me know. If not, we'll have somebody want to make a motion?
And before we do, was the consensus, if we're going the administrative approval route, was the consensus that the stone veneer material would go all the way around the base as opposed to the split face block?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Anybody else? Nope. You got it?
If we get to a motion, just please include that specific item as one of the conditions of approval.
Okay. George, you want to try this one?
Sure.
Thank you for
I'll move to approve site plan PSP 20-06 for a new 3,237 square foot retail building along with the renovations to the canopy and the pump islands for the existing mobile gas station that's located on approximately 1 acre at 3004 Union Lake Road. Approval is based on a finding that the site plan proposes improvements in reasonable proportion of the scale of the new building consistent with the goals of section 39.05 of the zoning ordinance relative to non-conforming sites. So long as certain conditions of the Planning Commission noted below can be included in the revised plan. Planning Commission further finds that the proposed building's architecture and materials are consistent with the intent of Article 27 of the zoning ordinance and its requirements for quality materials in the B3 zoning district. Site plan approval is subject to the following 6 conditions. Review and approval of engineered construction plans by the township engineer, fire marshal, and building department. And as discussed, previous administrative items by the planning director. 2, a revised plan to review and approved administratively showing a 5-foot sidewalk along the site's frontages on both Commerce and Union Lake Roads. A revised plan to be reviewed and appropriately administered showing the columns of the reconfigured canopy clad in stone materials to match the ledge stone proposed on the vertical elements of the building, extending to the bottom of the canopy. Administrative approval of lighting and photometric plans for all exterior fixtures, particularly the lighting under the fuel canopy that is to be recessed and compliant with maximum illumination levels. 5, any new signs included including the fuel canopy skins, to be reviewed and approved under the separate sign permit by the building department, subject to the requirements of Article 30 of the zoning ordinance. And 6, that the stone clad material will replace the shown to the commission split face on the bottom cladding of the entire structure.
We've got it.
Mr. Weber, can we just add one condition in regard to the outdoor sales being limited sales area?
And 7, that any outdoor sales items will be limited to the shown structure adjacent to the south side of the building.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Do we hear a second?
I will second.
You will second. Is there any more discussion on this before we move on? Anybody have any other further questions or any additions or corrections? Deb, it's you.
Okay, Weber,
Aye.
Carol. Brian, Carol. Okay.
McKeever, yes. Aye.
Thank you. Reback,
Aye.
Kareem,
Aye.
Haber.
Aye.
Winkler, did I get you? Brian Winkler?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
Very good. Have fun building your building.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Thank
much,
you,
sir.
everybody.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.
When are you going to start all this?
As soon as we can. Yeah.
I'm working on the construction drawings right now, so
As we can.
Jay, you're gonna see those, very shortly.
Very good.
All right,
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Other matters that come before the Planning Commission. Dave, I think you have something you want to talk about there.
I do have my planning director's report. I think the one thing that we missed and that Brian Winkler didn't miss was up toward number D, update of activities in Commerce Township. So I don't know if we want to circle back to that first.
Go ahead. That's fine.
All right, well, that's usually our opportunity for Mr. Winkler to report on the DDA, Mr. Weber to report on the Township Board, and Mr.
Right.
McKeever to tell us that they haven't had a ZBA meeting in a while.
Okay, let's do that now. Bill, anything from the DDA?
We have not had a ZBA meeting.
No ZBA meeting. Okay, Brian.
Well, at the August 18th DDA meeting, once again, the meeting was routine. And we did experience some technical difficulties with the Zoom meeting, but none of them that we were not able to overcome. Some concerned residents have called about the growth of phragmites in the DDA area. And the Homeowners Association has a multi-year treatment plan, and it's in the second year of that plan. And fall is the only time that treatments can be done. The Barrington development continues to build at a fast pace. They are slated for occupancy in the spring of 2021, but may have some initial occupancy by the end of this year. And then nothing new on the Aikens site at this time. We're just waiting for Aikens to come before the Planning Commission with the Ring Road, which is first phase of the project. And there's a letter of intent that is still being negotiated with Kelly McDonald of the Goddard School for the 1.8 acre site on Haggerty in front of Merrill Park. The board's meeting overall was to get market value for the property. The Michigan Tax Tribunal will be reviewing significant property tax cases for some of our big box stores and the movie theater along Haggerty. And the 2020 budget was amended to reflect a more current budget in the current fiscal year. And the 2021 proposed budget was also approved. So I believe everybody received those minutes or have them available via the township website.
Thank you, Brian. Anything from the township board?
3 items of note at the most recent board meeting. First being the board has approved the SAD amounts for both police and fire. Police is holding flat at 2020 levels of 2.622 mils. The fire, while voted ultimately by the residents to increase that up to 2.8 for 2021, we're going to hold that at 2.4 mils. 2022 will increase that to 2.6, and 2023 is when we'll finally see the full 2.8. So we're trying to not hit the residents with a larger tax increase. We're going to try to slide into that. The importance of that on fire is the building of the new station. So the 2.4 mils in 1 year with all the other expenses would not cover the building. So we are going to make a loan from the general fund to the fire fund in order to complete the fire station next year. As it relates to the fire station, we did award the contract to the Daly Company to build the fire station. They were the low bidder of the bidders that met all of the requirements, minimums that we set. The most important being that they have built at least 3 municipal buildings, fire, police, public safety, of at least $3 million within the last 5 years. So we wanted somebody that has experience building this type of a building. The bid came in, we're roughly $300,000 over budget. And tomorrow afternoon, we'll be spending time on some value engineering, trying to find that those $300,000. Related subject, and finally, we're in the middle of township budget. So Mr. Campbell and his peers are soon to be going through the gauntlet of the board to get their budgets approved. We're taking probably a more conservative view this year than maybe in the past because of the uncertainty regarding state revenues as it relates to the pandemic and the impact that may have on us.
And if I could jump in there on the budget item, one of the things that we want to do with the Planning Commission is provide you all with either a laptop or an iPad, so that, presuming that we continue to have these remote meetings, which we very well may, but also in an effort to begrudging you shove you into the 21st century technology-wise. We are going to budget for laptops. If any of you either would rather just use your own laptop or have any preference for some other device, whether it be an Android or an iPad or whatever it is, let me know, because if we don't want to unnecessarily buy technology. So if any of you want to get to me and say, I'm good with my laptop, then maybe we'll shave a couple off.
Can I do that now?
Sure.
I'm good with my laptop.
Okay.
There you go, George. I just got you $1,000 back.
Way to be a leader.
Okay, thank you. Jay, you have any comments?
Nothing of substance.
We'll make something up.
Comfort Care is getting close to wanting to open. I would expect within the next few weeks that they are going to want to get a C of O. They were hoping to do an open house this week, but they didn't have their fire alarms ready, so we couldn't let them do that.
I love it. Okay, Dave, anything else? Any other comments before you move on?
Is this my planning director's report? Is that where we're at?
That's where you are.
Okay. I wanted to bring the Planning Commission up to date on the proposal for the gravel pit project. So this is the north side of Sleeth Road, between Duck Lake Road and what's the other road, Jay?
Bass Lake.
It's Bass Lake.
Bass Lake Road. I kept wanting to say Bogey. I wanted to say Bogey Lake Road, and I knew that wasn't right. So there's 3 gravel pit properties. The westernmost is the one we're looking at. And when I say we, the township board has had several conversations with the prospective developer of that gravel pit property. I know they've come in front of the Planning Commission at least once, but it was a while ago, and we've got a couple new members. What I wanted to update you on is what they're proposing to do is develop that property as a brownfield, which essentially means that they get reimbursed for a significant portion of their development costs through a tax capture. It's very similar to what we do in our DDA, where you have a baseline taxable value, and then you have an improved taxable value, and whatever that gap is in between, the developer can recoup some of all of that as an incentive to develop a distressed piece of property. In this case, the property is distressed because it was a mining and extraction operation for a long time. There's a lot of soils that need to be moved around or off of that site, because as they extract, they backfill it with kind of junk material. And so they're saying there's over 1 million cubic yards of soil that need to be removed from that site. In the state of Michigan's Brownfield Act's definition, that would make the site functionally obsolete, which then would qualify it for a brownfield. But the reason I bring it up tonight is, even though the Planning Commission saw this as a concept a while ago, what I didn't want to have happen was have this get too far along with the brownfield end of things and go through the township's review process, the township board's review process, and then Oakland County, and then the state of Michigan, which is all the steps that are necessary for a brownfield, only for it to come back to the Planning Commission, most likely as a planned unit development, and have the Planning Commission feel like, you know, you're kind of left out of the loop of this, and this isn't a project that you're necessarily in favor of. Just very quickly, if I can bring up the concept plan, and this is very much a concept, but can everybody see that?
Yes.
So this is the existing gravel pit lake. The idea would be that there would be a total of right around 200 new single family lots. Maybe 50 of them would be lakefront lots. This is actually a pretty nice body of water, as neighboring property owners such as Mr. James can attest to. And then some of these lots that are off of the lakefront would be smaller lots, but for a grand total of 200. The reason it most likely makes sense for them to go through the plan unit development process is because they're proposing a mix of lot sizes and densities beyond what the site is zoned for. It's zoned for half-acre lots, and a lot of these lots are significantly smaller than a half acre. But what the end game would be with the brownfield and then with the plan unit development, the PUD, would be something like this: about 200 new single-family homes on the north side of Sleeth Road with access coming off of Sleeth. I know this plan only shows one point of access. Most likely the fire marshal is going to require a second point of access. But again, I just wanted to refresh you on this project and let you know that this is in the works with the township board as a brownfield. But assuming they can get that brownfield plan passed with the board, with Oakland County, with the state of Michigan, this would be coming back to the Planning Commission. So any questions or any significant concerns or any reasons for me to go back to the township board or go back to Mr. Weber and the rest of the township board, say we want to pump the brakes on this whole thing?
No, clean it up and build it.
Sam and Chelsea, I know this is the first you're seeing this, and so this is obviously new to you. Any questions or thoughts on this location? I don't know if you ever get out this way along Sleeth Road.
I'm familiar with where it's at. I don't really have any questions at this point. I'm still, new enough to just be kind of taking everything in, but I think it would be nice to have it developed.
Sam, any questions?
Dave, maybe just one comment, and maybe it might be valuable to resend the original package out that the Planning Commission saw a few months ago, because I think it's still relevant. And for the other members, while I don't believe it's unanimous at the board level, I think there's enough people that would like to see this developed. The questions that have been asked is centered around the dollars associated for ultimately a tax abatement, a 20-year tax abatement, and which is what the Michigan Brownfield allows for. But where the last discussion we had centered on is that amount of time appropriate for this, and are all of the elements that the developer would like included in that also appropriate? Meaning they're not just looking for the abatement associated with the extraordinary costs of the development, the environmental, et cetera, but they're looking for abatement for nearly all of the development costs. So that's, in a nutshell, it's kind of where it sits right now. So and personally, I would love to see that land developed from the eyesore that it is. And I think that that property can handle that amount of homes without having any major impact on the traffic arteries.
It's worth it's worth pointing out too that this is certainly a big ask from the developer, both from Commerce Township and from Oakland County. But there would be some benefits to the township, most notably the township already has in our water and sewer master plan to extend water and sewer out to this property, but more importantly, water. The intent would be to loop the water all the way up and around Duck Lake Road and create one big loop around the entire Lake Sherwood area. That's something that the township wants to do in the next, what, Jay, 5-10 years?
Yeah.
Right. So this would be an opportunity to share the cost with the developer on doing that. So these are all the things that the township board has to weigh as they're considering this big ask. Union Lake Road, there's a couple projects upcoming on Union Lake Road. One is a mill and fill project that Road Commission says they want to do this October. So they would be resurfacing the road all the way from Richardson up to Cooley Lake Road. The road would remain open to traffic while they do it, but there would be kind of a rolling slow stop crew, flaggers along the way. So there's almost certainly going to be some tie-ups along the way, but they would like to get that done either early to mid October. It kind of depends on weather. It depends on the asphalt contractor's schedule. And then looking at it, 2021, Union Lake Road, if you can picture just south of Wise Road, where Union Lake, the actual body of water of Union Lake, goes under Union Lake Road and then spills out into the Union Lake Golf Course, essentially. There's a giant culvert, or actually two giant culverts under Union Lake Road currently. Those culverts need to be replaced, and the Road Commission, in working with the Water Resources Commission, is going to replace those potentially in the summer of 2021. That's tentative. But the reason I bring it up now is that is going to require closing entirely Union Lake Road for probably a couple months. And that's going to be very painful for a lot of people, including Paula, who has to drive home to and from work that way. But just giving everybody a heads up that project's coming sometime probably next year.
Dave, did I hear you right that they're going to repave from Richardson to Cooley Lake Road?
Yes.
And then tear
and disrupt all of the traffic,
yes. So
and then tear all of that new pavement up and close the road down at that time.
So we asked those very questions with the Road Commission. What they're saying is when they have a paving job set for one construction season and another job set for a subsequent construction season, which might be 2021 with the culvert, but it might bleed into 2022. They don't know yet. Their position is it causes more problems to leave a gap in the new pavement because now you've got butt joints and all these things that are going to have trouble over the winter. I don't disagree with the logic of why are you going to pave it now just to tear it up a year from now, but this is the way that the Road Commission operates.
And suffer the traffic headache over 2 years now versus just doing it once.
That's why the Road Commission is so screwed up. For this reason, let's do it. And let's do it twice instead of once.
I'm the last guy to stick up for the Road Commission, but if every job had to wait for the next job, maybe nothing ever gets done.
So we're talking for the culvert replacement, we're talking it's going to be a couple 100 feet tops. That's going to be disrupted, and that will get repaved obviously when they're done. So when all the tears have dried and the road is back opened, it should look like a new road.
And then they'll close it down again.
For something.
Yeah, for something. Yeah.
It's gonna be painful. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention early and often, because it's gonna be painful. I've mentioned to you the pedestrian bridge over M5 and the rust that we're all disappointed to see on those blue wave panels. The MDOT received a corrective action plan from the general contractor on how they're going to fix that. So that's good news in general, that they're acknowledging that it's a problem. They're acknowledging that it's their problem to fix, and they're acknowledging that they're going to fix it. That is going to require taking those blue wave panels down, sandblasting them, cleaning them, galvanizing them, repainting them, and putting them back up. They say that could maybe happen this year. I highly doubt it. I'm guessing it's going to be early part of 2021 before that gets done. But the good news is the contractor is going to fix it on their dime.
No cost to the community.
Correct. And then the last thing I was going to mention was Brian Winkler mentioned the Akins project. It sounds from the conversations I've had that there is at least a handshake agreement between Mr. Akins and the residential developer who's going to partner with him to do the residential component of that development. I think that's, in my opinion, that's maybe what's needs to be the impetus to getting the whole project going is having that residential partner on board. So it sounds like they've gotten really close to that. So hopefully that'll be what pushes that project into actual construction. And those are the things that I wanted to bring you up to date on.
Yeah, is that all, Dave? You done?
Yes, sir. Unless you have any questions for me.
Anybody? Questions for Dave? No. October 5th, 7 o'clock, next meeting. With that, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
A second.
Second.
Okay, Sam, thank you. All in favor? Well, we've got to go through this whole thing again. Deb?
Carol. Kareem.
Aye.
Winkler.
Aye.
McKeever.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Rebeck.
Aye.
Haber.
Aye. Thank you all. Thank you for being patient. We'll see you the 5th.
Thank you, everyone.